Well, hello and greetings. This is another Ask Trina Anything, and we are delighted to be broadcasting again over Trina's Facebook group, Hope Revolution, and over her YouTube channel. My name is Scott Scowcroft. I'm with Scott Treatment, and here is the author of Hope for the Flowers, Trina Paulus.
Hi, everybody. Okay. Thank you, Scott. Scott is a veteran of this kind of thing that I am not. So I think very grateful to have him assisting this whole
Well,
enterprise. The scary, kind of scary for me, But at 91, I think I ought to try it. I don't know when else I would.
Well, you know something, Trina. One thing that happens is that if you don't do it on a regular basis, you get kind of nervous, and you wonder what's going to happen. But then, as is the case with so often with so many other things, even including public speaking, once we get into it, it just seems to fall away, and we're in the moment. I'm a little nervous myself because I haven't been going out live very often lately either.
Well, one of the things about Scott right now, he's made a trip home after 55. How many years, Scott?
Okay. Well, just a little bit of chat, and then we'll get to the important part, the questions for you. But 54 years ago, I left my hometown of Billings, Montana, and I decided it was time for a pilgrimage. So I've come back and I've visited all of my old haunts and seen a number of things. And it's very gratifying to be able to close the circle and to come back home. I don't know if it's true or not, but you never can go home again, but you can sure try.
Well, thank you, Scott, for being a steady person in my life to help with these things. I don't think I'd have the courage to do it without you.
Well,
Peace to you. Thank you.
the
And I hope
feeling,
it's a wonderful trip for you. That's 54 years. 54 years.
yeah,
Wow.
that's true. Thank you, Trina. And now I think that one of the things that the people in your Facebook group want to know about is more about you, and we've prepared some questions. Are you ready for that?
I guess so, Scott. I guess so. And by the way, it's Hope for the Flowers Revolution on Facebook. And so that's what it is. And then I think we're also on YouTube. Is that correct, Scott?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
We're also on YouTube, aren't we?
And we're also on your YouTube channel.
Yes.
And in future weeks, incidentally, we will be soliciting questions from the viewers.
And
So,
and how do people get to that YouTube channel, Scott?
well, those people who have subscribed to your YouTube channel may have notifications pop up. And if for any reason you're looking at this, viewing this video on YouTube and you're not subscribed, all you have to do is push the button below, and then there'll be a push notice anytime that we go out live.
Scott, is this my name, or is this the Hope for the Flowers YouTube channel that it's on?
I believe it's the Hope for the Flowers YouTube channel.
Okay, well,
I know that makes you happier because
we're all learning, folks. We're all learning.
We are. And speaking of learning, one of the questions, and this is kind of a great one to kick things off, how did your personal background influence your writing of Hope for the Flowers, Trina?
Well, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, in a suburban community there, but I was like 1 foot on the farm all the time. So I was with the cows and the chickens, and it's just the normal way because my father grew up on that farm, and so it was like a second home. He became an electrical engineer and moved to Cleveland, about 40 miles away. So I grew up with that sort of semi-rural and the opportunities of the city and that. But I became an artist at a young age, and I began a serious religious search. I'm a Catholic, and I decided, okay, I need to take this seriously if I'm going to say I belong. And so I tried to do that. And then when I graduated from high school, I went to a woman's community in Southern Ohio called Grailville. And we had a sort of semi-monastic discipline. Boy, has that stood me well over these years. It's been a wonderful spiritual preparation for my life, the way it's come out. So ever since I was a little girl, when somebody would die, I'd think of the caterpillar and the butterfly and the whole meaning of the hope for resurrection and the change that takes place. Because if you look at a caterpillar, you can't believe there's a butterfly inside. It just doesn't look possible. It looks like a little worm of some kind. And so that always inspired me a lot. And I started making pictures when I was quite young of the caterpillar, the cocoon, and the butterfly. And then as I grew older, that metaphor still seemed to speak to me of hope and transformation and resurrection and daring to believe what you can't see. And so that maybe is enough for this question right now, Scott. I mean, there's a lot of things to say, but Hope for the Flowers does use that metaphor, which is because it's universal. It's been able to transcend all these boundaries around the world from cultures and religions and politics. So one of the things I want to do if we have this series, if it goes on, is I want to help bring people together. That's sort of my hope in this world, to bring people together and help us cross the divisions that we all are experiencing these days, when you can hardly talk across the aisle from a Democrat to a Republican, or from a person who's vaxxed and is not vaxxed. It's the divisions I've never seen in my 91 years is so evident, even among families and others a lot. So this is my background, and it's the butterfly and the caterpillar story. And by the way, caterpillars do crawl over others. They don't crawl to piles so immensely high you can't see the clouds. That's a artist writer's thing. And I don't know that they make choices. These caterpillars make choices. So the choice has to be to get off that pillar. And it's our choice too. We have to get off the pillars, whatever once. Maybe as our pillar is doing good, we can get on pillars all the time. And with us, it's not just one transformation, like in the real caterpillar world. They go into the cocoon, they come out a butterfly. For us, it's over and over again. We have to watch our pillars, get off of them, make the choices to go into our cocoons, and dare to hope each time we come out able with wings, maybe tattered, maybe a bit wounded, but we can carry the love of one flower to another. And it's the theme of that. It's radical sharing, freely chosen, not forced upon us. So if that takes care of you for that one, that's a long-winded answer, Scott, but there it is.
That's a pretty good one. You know, you talked a little bit about how contentious life is, and especially nowadays, but your book has been around for 50 years now, hasn't it?
Yep. It's like it was written for today, and it was written over 50 years ago.
So
I can't believe that. This is the gift of God for me, that I was only the steward and the shepherd of this thing. It's beyond me.
could you elaborate a little bit on that? Why has your book remained so timeless?
Well, the caterpillar and the butterfly situation remains timeless, doesn't it? And the struggle to overcome each of us to overcome our greed that tempts us to crawl on top of someone else and find our dignity through that, instead of through our own becoming our best selves. This is from the beginning of time, isn't it? This temptation to lord it over others.
So, would you say this is a bonus or a surprise question? Would you say, Trina, that we are living in especially peculiar times that the world has never seen before, or is it kind of same old, same old? The world has seen many variations of what we're going through, and it may be just rhyming as opposed to something that's unique in all the world.
I think it's both. There's changes, but I think that it's the speed of everything right now that makes us just not knowing what to do. And when something happens, it's all over the world in a couple of seconds, possibly. And with AI now, it's very, very powerful and very potentially dangerous. Even Elon Musk, who's deep into it, says it can take over and it can kill us. And that's and this is not AI, folks. This is just two human beings talking to you right now. And that's what I want. I want to be a human being. And I tried a few AI things, and uh, I prefer the frailty of our situation, and like the sort of strangeness of each person, and their idiosyncrasies that can be beautiful and difficult at the same time. And I joined Russell Brand's group, by the way, and he is an odd fellow in a sense. He's this comedian and this loud person and talkative and a real actor. And when he interviews people, he's the most thoughtful, beautiful person. When he does a meditation thing, and he's been in recovery now for 20 years. He's celebrating that from being a drug addict. And there's a frailty in him that makes all the bombast and other extreme stuff that he has quite a. And I joined his community last Christmas, so I'm part of. I get his special little posts because.
So Trina, this is someone whom you obviously like and respect. Could you mention one more time who this person is? And
Russell Brand. You can look him up, russellbrand.com, and you can see him. He's all over the place. He's a famous actor. I didn't know that about him, by the way, when I first saw his interview.
Mhm.
My son knew him, though, when he was probably a wild, crazy Hollywood actor years ago. He's British. He's in England right now. But his whole theme is community, small communities. He wants to build small communities. But this is a big one. This is like maybe 12 million people. I'm not sure how many million, but it's a large community. And so I just joined him. I'm one of the elders, of course, in almost anything I do right now at 91. Not many 91-year-old people are doing stuff like this, wild things like Russell Brand.
Well, you were the tip of the sword 50 years ago, and you're still there today, Trina. And we hope to be able to have you on every week. We will have you on every week, so that you can reconnect and do for your community what Russell is doing for his, and that's just making connections.
And one of the things I'd like to ask whoever might be on to see this one is, do you think, I've realized that if you think about the way the Chinese think about ages, I now can speak from 10 decades, 1930s, 40s, and all these things. And I would just be able to bring my own experiences of those decades to us. It might not be really exciting, and I wouldn't be selling anything, but I think it can be interesting to hear somebody go through the decades, and I think the Second World War and the Pearl Harbor and the dropping of the atom bomb and what it was like to live through the Depression and that kind of stuff. And then my years of Hope for the Flowers. Hope for the Flowers is now 50 years, and my life is 91. So whatever value that has, I'm very happy and delighted to share it. And I'd like to know what people want, actually. And we're beginning this, aren't we, Scott? We're just trying our wings out.
Yeah. Well, we're doing the best we can with what we've got. I know that looking back myself, I did not ask my folks the sort of questions I would have liked to have asked them now. And so this is an opportunity, I think, for anyone who is thoughtful and reflective and would really like to reach back and tap into the wisdom of those who have gone through the experiences, for example, that you have. That's what Ask Trina Anything is all about. And to find out more, everyone can go to hopefortheflowers.com and join the Facebook group Revolution. And there are other opportunities there as well.
And thank you so much, Scott, for making this possible, because I sure couldn't do it by myself.
Well, my pleasure, believe me. So until next week, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.